There is a rule in this universe that nothing can break, not planets, not stars, not time itself. Light moves at the fastest speed in existence, 300,000 kilometers every second, fast enough to circle Earth more than 7 times in one blink. It races from the sun to your eyes in 8 minutes. It crosses empty space without slowing down. It carries every image you have ever seen, every color, every sunrise, every star in the night sky. And yet here is the contradiction that changes everything. From light's own perspective, it never moves, not even a little. It does not feel distance. It does not feel time. For light, the moment it is created and the moment it is absorbed are the same instant. No journey, no travel, no passage, just a single event. This is not philosophy. This is not poetry. This is not science fiction. This is physics. That statement alone should feel impossible. Motion means change in position over time. That is the definition taught in school. If something moves, time must pass. If time does not pass, motion cannot exist. Yet light travels across billions of kilometers of space while experiencing 0 seconds. Zero, the fastest thing in the universe, does not experience speed. The ultimate traveler never takes a trip. The cosmic messenger never feels the message being delivered. This is the paradox at the heart of modern physics, and once you understand it, you will never look at reality the same way again. In this video, you will learn why time slows down as speed increases. You will learn what happens at the exact limit of the universe, the speed that nothing with mass can ever reach. You will discover how space itself shrinks when objects move close to that limit. You will understand why light does not age, why a photon born inside the core of the sun does not experience the 8 minutes it takes to reach Earth, and why from its own frame there is no gap between birth and arrival. We will break down the ideas of special relativity in simple words. No complicated math, no confusing symbols, just clear logic that builds step by step. By the end, you will see how motion depends on perspective, how time is not absolute, and how the structure of reality is more flexible than it appears. There are facts about light that rarely get explained in this way. Light does not need a medium to travel. It is not like sound that requires air. It is a self-sustaining vibration of electric and magnetic fields, locked together in a perfect dance. It is both a wave and a particle. It behaves like energy and like a tiny packet called a photon. But the strangest fact is not its dual nature. The strangest fact is that at the speed of light, time stops completely, not slows down, stops. According to the equations of relativity, as an object approaches light speed, time for that object stretches thinner and thinner. At 90% of light speed, time slows. At 99%, it slows even more. Push it further, and time nearly freezes. At exactly 100%, the math tells us something extreme. The flow of time becomes zero. Distance in the direction of motion shrinks to zero as well. That means from light's own frame, there is no length to cross and no duration to experience. The entire path collapses into a single point. This is why scientists say that light does not experience time. It does not witness the universe passing by. It does not see stars being born or galaxies colliding. From its own perspective, it simply connects two events. Emission and absorption become one. The sun and your eye become linked in an instant. Billions of light years between distant galaxies collapse into no distance at all for the photon making the trip. The idea challenges common sense because common sense was built for slow speeds. Human intuition works at walking pace, not at cosmic limits. When we push nature to its extremes, intuition fails and deeper laws appear. Understanding this changes more than just how you think about light. It changes how you think about time itself. Time is not a universal clock ticking the same for everyone. It stretches and bends depending on motion. Two observers moving differently do not agree on what is simultaneous. Events that appear separate in time for one observer can collapse together for another. Reality is not a single rigid stage where everything unfolds the same way for all. It is a network of perspectives. Light sits at the boundary of this network. It defines the maximum speed at which cause and effect can travel. It sets the structure of space-time itself. By the end of this video, you will clearly understand why nothing can go faster than light, why objects with mass can never reach its speed, and why the concept of motion breaks down at that ultimate limit. You will see how space and time are woven together into one fabric. You will understand why saying light travels is true from our point of view, but meaningless from its own. And you will begin to see that the universe is not built the way it feels. It is built on relationships between observers, on frames of reference, on limits that shape everything from atoms to galaxies. Stay with me until the end, because the final realization ties everything together. When you see how light can cross the universe without experiencing the journey, you will face a deeper question about reality itself. If motion depends on perspective, what else in your life depends on perspective? If time can stretch and stop, what does that say about the flow you feel every day? The answers are not mystical. They are grounded in physics, but they are powerful enough to shift how you see the world. This channel exists to explore ideas like this: big questions, clear explanations, real science with depth and clarity. If you enjoy thinking beyond the surface and understanding the hidden rules that shape existence, you are in the right place. Subscribe now and become part of a community that looks deeper, thinks sharper, and refuses to accept simple answers to profound questions. Welcome to the channel. Let's begin. There is a speed that cannot be broken. It is not just fast, it is final. About 300,000 kilometers every second. That is the speed of light in empty space. Nothing with mass can reach it. This is not a guess. It comes from the work of Albert Einstein and the theory of special relativity. As something moves faster, its energy increases. The closer it gets to the speed of light, the more energy it needs to actually reach that speed. It would need infinite energy, and infinite energy does not exist in our universe. So any object with mass is forever below that limit. This speed is not just a number. It is a wall built into reality. It shapes how space and time behave. Because as you move faster, strange things begin to happen. Time does not tick at the same rate. It slows down, not as a trick of measurement, not as an illusion. It truly slows down for the moving object, compared to someone standing still. At the same time, length changes too. Objects moving very fast shrink in the direction of motion. This is called length contraction. So speed does not just change how fast you arrive somewhere. It changes time itself. It changes distance itself. The faster you go, the more reality bends around you. If you could ride a beam of light, you would reach the ultimate edge of these effects. Time would slow more and more as you approach that limit. Distance in front of you would shrink more and more. The universe would compress in the direction you travel, and if you could somehow reach light speed, time would not just slow, it would stop completely. Special relativity is built on a simple idea. The laws of physics are the same for everyone who moves at a constant speed, and the speed of light is the same for all observers, no matter how fast they are moving. That second idea forces everything else to change. If light must always be measured at the same speed, then time and space must adjust to make that possible. So the faster you go, the slower your clock runs compared to someone at rest. At 90% of light speed, time slows noticeably. At 99%, it slows dramatically. At 99.9%, time almost freezes. And at 100%, according to the equations, time stops. That means for something moving at the speed of light, no time passes at all. No seconds, no moments, no duration. If time stops, what does motion even mean? Motion is defined as change in position over time. If time equals zero, how can position change? If there is no before and after, can there be a journey? The closer you get to light speed, the more this question becomes real, because at that limit the idea of motion begins to break down. From our point of view, light clearly travels. It leaves the sun and reaches Earth in about 8 minutes. It leaves distant stars and reaches us after years, centuries, even billions of years. We measure that travel. We calculate that distance. We see the delay, but from light's own perspective, if such a perspective can even be defined, emission and arrival are the same instant. A photon created in the core of the sun bounces around inside the sun for a long time before escaping, but once it is free in space and moving at light speed, the 8 minutes it takes to reach your eye do not exist for it. For us, 8 minutes pass. For the photon, 0 time passes. There is no journey in between, no sense of traveling through space, just existence at 2 points that are connected without duration. The event of being emitted and the event of being absorbed are not separated by time in its frame. They collapse together. This leads to a deeper paradox. Motion requires time. If no time passes, can we call it motion? Light crosses millions and billions of kilometers. It moves from star to planet, from galaxy to galaxy. Yet from its own frame, distance in the direction of motion contracts to 0. That is another prediction of special relativity. As speed increases, length shrinks along the direction of motion. At light speed, that length becomes 0. So time equals 0, distance equals 0. Yet from our frame, light clearly moves. We see it travel, we measure its speed, we depend on it to bring us information from the universe. So which view is correct? The answer is that both are correct, within their own frames of reference. Reality depends on perspective. To understand this more clearly, it helps to know what light actually is. Light is an electromagnetic wave. It is a vibration of electric and magnetic fields. These fields are not objects in the usual sense. They are properties of space itself. When the electric field changes, it creates a magnetic field. When the magnetic field changes, it creates an electric field. This self-sustaining process allows the wave to move through empty space. It does not need air. It does not need water. It does not need a material medium. It is a ripple in the fabric of the electromagnetic fields. At the same time, light also behaves like a particle called a photon. A photon has energy and momentum, but no rest mass. Because it has no rest mass, it must always move at the speed of light. It cannot slow down. It cannot speed up. It simply exists in motion. But saying it exists in motion becomes strange when we remember that from its frame there is no time and no distance. So how does it move? It does not move like a ball thrown through space. It is not an object traveling through a background. It is a disturbance that sustains itself forward. Each oscillation of the electric field creates the magnetic field ahead of it, and that magnetic field creates the electric field ahead of it, and so on. The wave recreates itself continuously. It is more like a ripple that keeps forming at the front than a solid thing sliding along. That ripple moves at the universal speed limit because that is built into the structure of space and time. Now consider what it means for light to have no past and no future in its own frame. If time equals 0, there is no sequence of events, no memory, no anticipation. From emission to absorption, it is one single event. Light does not experience the universe unfolding. It does not see stars forming or planets rotating. It does not observe anything along the way. It connects 2 points in space-time without duration. For us, those points are separated by distance and time. For light, they are joined instantly. This does not mean light is conscious. It does not mean it has awareness. It means that the structure of space-time at light speed removes the concept of elapsed time. Movement, then, is not absolute. It depends on who is observing. If you are standing still relative to Earth, you see the sun's light take 8 minutes to reach you. If you are moving very fast relative to Earth, you would measure a different time. The faster you move, the shorter that travel time becomes for you. As your speed approaches light speed, that travel time approaches zero. There is no single universal clock that everyone agrees on. There is no single universal ruler that measures the same length for everyone. Space and time are linked. They form space-time. And how space-time is divided into space and time depends on the observer's motion. There is no absolute motion. You can only say that something moves relative to something else. The Earth moves relative to the Sun. The Sun moves relative to the center of the galaxy. The galaxy moves relative to other galaxies. But there is no fixed background that defines true rest. The laws of physics look the same in every inertial frame, which means every observer moving at constant speed can consider themselves at rest, and the rest of the universe as moving. Light exposes this principle in the most extreme way. Because its speed is constant for all observers, space and time must adjust differently for each observer to keep that speed the same. That adjustment creates time dilation and length contraction. When we say light moves at 300,000 kilometers per second, we are speaking from our frame, from another frame moving at high speed. The numbers change, but the speed of light remains constant. That constancy forces reality to be flexible. Clocks tick at different rates. Rulers measure different lengths. Events that are simultaneous in one frame may not be simultaneous in another. The idea of now becomes relative. There is no universal present moment that stretches across the cosmos. Each observer has their own slice of space-time that they call now. At light speed, that slice changes in a radical way. The separation between space and time blurs. For a photon, there is no separation between here and there along its path. The path collapses. The timeline collapses. Only the endpoints matter. From our view, the photon leaves the sun, travels through space, and reaches Earth. From its view, if that concept is extended mathematically, those two events are adjacent. The universe between them does not unfold over time. It is simply bridged. This reshapes how we think about causality as well. Cause and effect are limited by the speed of light. Information cannot travel faster than light. That limit preserves the order of events. But within that limit, different observers can disagree about the timing of events. They cannot disagree about cause and effect when one event could influence another, but they can disagree about which events happen at the same time. If those events are far apart, light's constant speed ensures that these disagreements never create contradictions. The structure of space-time protects consistency. When you look at a distant star, you are not seeing it as it is now in your frame. You are seeing it as it was when the light left it. That could be years ago. It could be millions of years ago. Light carries the past to you. Yet from the light's frame there was no waiting, no aging, no delay. The moment it was emitted and the moment it touched your eye are one. That idea removes the sense of a long voyage. The star and you are linked directly across space-time. So is light actually moving? From our perspective, yes. It covers distance over time. From its own limiting frame, time and distance vanish. Motion becomes undefined. The equations of relativity show that you cannot create a valid rest frame for light. You cannot ride alongside a photon and watch it stand still. The mathematics breaks down at that point. That breakdown is not a flaw. It tells us that light exists at the boundary of space-time. It defines the structure, but does not fit inside the normal rules of motion. The universe is not fixed in the way everyday life suggests. It is relational. Every measurement depends on the observer. Every statement about speed, time, or length must specify a frame of reference. Light makes this clear because it refuses to adjust its speed. Everything else must adjust instead. When you move faster, your time slows. Your length contracts. Your mass effectively increases. These are not illusions. They have been measured in experiments with fast-moving particles. Tiny particles accelerated close to light speed live longer than they would at rest because their internal clocks slow down. That is time dilation in action. As speed increases, the world ahead compresses, distances shrink. If you could travel at near light speed toward a distant galaxy, the distance to that galaxy would be shorter for you than for someone at rest relative to Earth. Your journey would take less time on your own clock than on Earth's clock. Push that idea to the limit of light speed, and the distance becomes zero, and the time becomes zero. That is why light does not experience a journey. The structure of space-time at that limit removes the separation between departure and arrival. Light, then, is not just something that illuminates the world, it is the key to understanding the architecture of reality. It reveals that motion is not absolute. It reveals that time is not universal. It reveals that distance is not fixed. Everything depends on perspective. And at the ultimate speed limit, perspective becomes extreme. Time vanishes. Distance vanishes. Only connection remains. We think motion is simple. A car moves. A planet moves. We move through time, step by step, second by second. Motion feels obvious, natural, undeniable. But the fastest thing in existence breaks that idea completely. Light crosses space at 300,000 kilometers per second. It races from the sun to Earth. It travels between galaxies. It carries the entire visible universe to us. And yet, from its own frame, it never moves. No ticking clock, no stretching journey, no passing seconds. The beginning and the end collapse into one single event. What we call travel is just a perspective. What we call distance depends on where we stand. What we call time depends on how fast we move. Light exposes something deeper. Space is not fixed. Time is not absolute. Motion is not universal. Everything bends. Everything shifts. Everything depends on the observer. The universe is not a rigid stage where events unfold the same way for everyone. It is a web of relationships, frames within frames, perspectives layered on perspectives. And at the very edge of that structure sits light, not aging, not slowing, not experiencing the journey at all. So let this stay with you. If something can cross the universe without ever feeling the journey, what does that say about space, time, and reality itself? If this changed the way you see the world even a little, then this is just the beginning. This channel is where we break down the deepest ideas in physics into clear, powerful truths. No noise, no confusion, just the real structure of reality explained simply. Subscribe now so you don't miss what comes next. Like the video if your mind just stretched a little. Share it with someone who thinks they understand how the universe works. Because the deeper you look, the stranger it becomes.